Puerto Vallarta, a beautiful city with a population of over 200,000 people, is located on the Pacific coast of Mexico. Known for its hospitality, beautiful beaches, art scene, and wildlife, people from all around the world flock to Puerto Vallarta. With so many things to see and stories to tell, let's jump into the video. Okay, so today I'm out here with my boy Kirk Sells, aka White Chedda. Anything else you're known as?
El rapero güero, the only white boy that raps in Spanish.
Wow. So I'm in Puerto Vallarta. It's my first time to Puerto Vallarta. I love Mexico, and I'm actually falling in love with Puerto Vallarta as well. It's a beautiful city, so much going on. But I thought I would like to get more information from you, someone that's been living here for a while, been on the ground, knows the locals. So let's start with, when did you move to Puerto Vallarta, and why did you move to Puerto Vallarta?
Oh, sorry, I thought you were someone I knew. I moved to Puerto Vallarta 3 years ago, and I first came on vacation here, which I think is how most people get introduced for the first time. But then when I saw just how it was relative to some of the cities in Mexico that are way bigger and certainly like heavy tourists, I think that also draws some problems too. It draws like drug problems, stuff like that. I've lived in Miami Beach before, and I was kind of trying to avoid that vibe, but still find a place that matched like the weather, you know. And I think Puerto Vallarta certainly is that. And I've fallen in love with the people and the culture here as well. It's just an awesome city. I think it's becoming the #1 vacation destination in Mexico as more people discover it.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the more people come here, the more they're going to see the uniqueness this city has compared to some of the other cities like Cancun maybe or Playa del Carmen, which are also beautiful in their own right, but this is just a little bit of a different vibe.
Yeah.
And again, maybe you already answered this. How long have you been here?
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
2019.
And when you moved, or you came on vacation, you said, is that correct?
Right.
And when you came on vacation, was it a process like you went back home and then decided to move back?
Yeah, just for a short time I went back home. It was January and home is Chicago. So you go back to Chicago in January and you just had a great warm weather experience in a beautiful place, and it's not too hard to be called back shortly. I think I probably stayed there maybe 10 days before I decided I am moving to Puerto Vallarta.
So what would you say is unique to Puerto Vallarta that maybe you can't find in other cities in Mexico?
Well, first thing that comes to mind is like when you think of West Coast Mexico, there's definitely this sensation for me that there's not a really large amount of well-known, awesome cities on the West Coast. One of them has had its heyday and has already sort of died as far as a tourist city, and that, of course, is Acapulco. The reason that Acapulco doesn't have as many, especially American tourists anymore, is because of the news that comes out of Acapulco about things like kidnappings or narcotráfico, drug trafficking. And so that was like the city to visit in Mexico for the longest time. Elvis, we're talking about people that were famous back in the 50s and 60s. They were the ones that sort of established Acapulco as a great place on the west coast of Mexico. But after people sort of heard about sort of the violence that exists in that city, they've started to look for other destinations. I feel like most of the cities that were constructed for tourists and visiting the beach, most of them are on the Gulf of Mexico or Caribbean side. There's some places up in like the Cabo area and Baja California. But at the end of the day, Puerto Vallarta represents the West Coast hub of where to have a great time in Mexico.
And so what is Puerto Vallarta known for? Of course, it's beaches. But what else would you say it's really well known for? Like, for example, here you can see in front of us some beautiful benches. I'm assuming maybe the locals did this. Yeah, could you elaborate a little bit more on what Puerto Vallarta is known for?
Yeah, and actually, so you kind of brought something interesting up, which is not the case. These benches are made by a philanthropic group that is expats, Americans and Canadians that have come to Puerto Vallarta and want to see the city beautified. And I think that that in itself is the thing that's so beautiful about Puerto Vallarta, is that it's this beautiful mix of cultures between basically North Americans, right? Canadians and Americans who are close and love to come down here for vacation, and then the local people who are Mexicans. And to see them both creating a synergy together and living in the same city means that we get to benefit from watching those cultures fuse together and merge, right? So that is my favorite part about Puerto Vallarta, is you could be walking the street and you'll see people from all over the world, all sorts of different walks of life, but they're coming together to live or enjoy this place in harmony.
Is the cuisine unique or different to other parts of Mexico?
There are some things that are definitely unique. I don't think that Puerto Vallarta specifically has like a staple food where you'd be like, oh, let me get that in Puerto Vallarta. But because we're part of the state of Jalisco, which hosts the second largest city in Mexico, Guadalajara, then a lot of the culinary influence comes from that area, which is about a 6-hour drive from here, but in the same state. So for instance, I recently just had a torta ahogada, a drowning sandwich, basically, and that's a food that is eaten so commonly in Guadalajara, and of course, because of the proximity to Puerto Vallarta, it's made its way here. And the other thing is tacos de birria, and you gotta curl your R's if you wanna say birria, and that is just this beautiful shredded beef meat that's made especially here in Jalisco, and definitely has a strong presence in Puerto Vallarta.
And I'm assuming you would recommend anyone that comes here to give those two a try.
Yeah, absolutely. And then another thing that's happening with that fusion of cultures is that we also have a lot of new expat-owned businesses that focus on things that we maybe are more accustomed to up in the United States, like totally organic food, vegan food as well. So you do see this balance of sort of the Mexican culinary culture here with now what I would say are just 21st century enhancements to a culinary scene. And so Puerto Vallarta definitely has your options. You could do street tacos, or if you need to get down on some vegan ramen, you can find that place too. It's really an awesome metropolitan city.
So what's this, I'm assuming we could call this a park. What's the name of this park?
This park is called Lázaro Cárdenas. And on Saturdays in the tourist season, which would be basically November through April, this park hosts a farmer's market. And I feel like that is something that is not a part of the culture of Mexico. So it has been influenced by people that are bringing that type of farmer's market, organically grown. That's the things that they're looking for. They've brought a farmer's market here. But the cool thing about that is that the businesses are mostly Mexican. And so in that way, they're empowering Mexicans to open up their business to a wider audience, and especially those Americans and Canadians who are visiting.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And so you said that this was actually done by expats, but what is the art scene like here? Is there a big art scene, and you know, who's a part of that?
Yeah, there's art scenes that are contrasting, and one of them is this beautiful culture of Mexican music. You know, you've got your trumpets and your tubas and your big basses that people are walking around in. And literally as a mariachi band, they're playing for the people here in Puerto Vallarta. So if you're sitting on the beach, someone might stop with a group of 3 or 4 musicians and ask if you want to hear some traditional Mexican music, and you can certainly find that. And then the other side of that, with the integration of more of the Canadian and American culture, is that this city is becoming very open to performance arts, live venues. There's a great one here called Encanto, and I'm actually headed there tomorrow on Sunday night. They always have an open mic, and what's great is that you go to that open mic and you'll see performers that are both Mexican and then also from different cultures as well, people that are visiting Vallarta and want to share their art. There's another theater here called Act 2, which is a huge theater, and they put on a lot of shows as well. They focus on a lot of things like cover artists, so someone that does all the Bruno Mars songs and dresses up like Bruno Mars, or Whitney Houston, so there'll be a Whitney Houston girl that's coming up and singing. It's not Whitney herself, but it's somebody that's got it all down and ready to perform for the people. And then there's also a lot of drag shows in Puerto Vallarta. We are in an incredibly gay-friendly neighborhood here. In fact, it's called the Romantic Zone. And even though if you're not gay, you wouldn't walk with any trepidation through this area, it is a great thing for the gay community because it's their spot, baby. A beautiful paradise place where they don't feel like they would be judged for their life choices, and they can really just kind of be free in a wonderful beachside location.
And there's some amazing restaurants, entertainment venues all around this area.
Truly, yeah.
And you said this was, what's the name of the zone?
La Zona Romantica.
So how many zones are there, or how many zones do you know of?
So that is more of an unofficial title, but here in Puerto Vallarta, we call the little barrios or neighborhoods, we call them colonias, like a colony. And man, there's quite a few in Puerto Vallarta. I don't know the number exactly, but I would guess 100 different colonias.
Wow. And so, do you have to speak Spanish to come here? I mean, how easy is it to get around if, let's say, you only speak English?
Truly easy to get around in Puerto Vallarta if you only speak English, because the Mexican people understand that this is a tourist city, so if they're going to build a business for themselves, they know that that business would not be complete or their operation would not be optimized unless they could connect with the audience that speaks English. Of course, we always encourage people to, even if you don't speak very good Spanish, go for it, right? Try it, because it's much better to try to make the connection and fail than to never try to make the connection at all.
Agreed.
So instead of saying hi to people on the malecón, go with an hola, ¿cómo estás? Or my favorite, ¿qué tal? What's up?
And just my observation, when I compare Puerto Vallarta to some of the other cities in Mexico, I find that the people here are very friendly. And a majority of Mexico are very friendly, but here even more.
Yeah.
And not only that, like you just said, it seems like their level of English is quite high. So, I mean, I'm running into people that speak better English than I do, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, I think it is a great opportunity for you to practice your Spanish, learn some new words and stuff. But if your fear is coming here, not being able to get around and things like that, you should not have that fear, because it's very easy to do.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so it definitely represents, like, let's take as comparison the city of Puerto Escondido in Oaxaca. In that city, because Oaxaca is further south in Mexico, and that matters geographically because it's further from the US border, there's not as much English being spoken there. But because we're becoming this amazing destination, and it has been, I shouldn't say becoming, because I know people that have been coming to Puerto Vallarta since it was a baby little city back 40, 50 years ago. But anyway, because there's such a high amount of traffic of tourists here, English is totally integrated into the scene.
Amazing. And so what are the best times of year to come? I know a lot of people come here for whale watching. I mean, is there a time you would recommend more than another, or yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so it's really November to April, but right, when we were up in the US, we love November because it's getting close to Thanksgiving, and then we love December because it's Christmas time. But after Christmas and New Year's, we start to get a little stressed out, don't we? Because there's not anything to break up the monotony of the cold. So my recommendation is to plan yourself a nice January or February trip to Puerto Vallarta, just to kind of get yourself rejuvenated from that hard snow, wind, cold life, and get a little sunshine.
Yeah, and I would make an argument, really you could visit here any time of year. Even though there is a rainy season, it's still beautiful. Just the ocean, the landscape, so many things are beautiful about this city and this region that if you can only get away during the rainy season, I still recommend it.
Truly. I do think that the hardest thing about living in Puerto Vallarta, and the only thing that I don't like, is the heat of the summer, because it does get really, really hot here. But you're right, if someone has some free time in the summer and they don't mind the heat, then come on down, because the city doesn't change too much. In fact, it's a little less occupied, and some people are looking for that. They don't like having mass amounts of people. But if you're here in February, you're going to be in the mix with millions.
So you can get a better bang for your buck if you come during that time. And if you live in Phoenix or Houston or Florida, it's not going to be a huge difference for you either way.
Right.
Maybe Phoenix, you're going to feel the humidity a little bit more here, but Texas, Florida is basically going to feel the exact same.
Truly.
And so now where are we headed right now?
Right now, you can see the blue glimmer of the Pacific Ocean with the palm trees cascaded against a nice bright blue sky. So we are on the edge of the world here. And one of my favorite things is, like, I love California, I love Venice Beach, but things have changed in the US. A place like Venice Beach now is really overrun by homeless people and
like, let's say you're here during whale watching season. Could you see them from here sitting, let's say, and having something to eat?
Yes, you could.
Wow.
You can see whales right from the shore.
And those are usually, if I'm not mistaken, humpback whales.
Ooh, I'm not an expert, so I'm not really sure.
Okay, so everyone that's watching this, you're gonna have to Google to find out what type of whales.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
But you can see them right from here.
We just know they're not killer whales.
Yeah.
Right?
You don't gotta worry about that.
Right.
Or do you have to worry about, for example, great white sharks?
I have never heard anything about sharks from like news of Puerto Vallarta, but what you do have to worry about, which is kind of weird, is crocodiles. There are crocodiles in Puerto Vallarta, and maybe not something that you would encounter in the ocean, although there are saltwater crocodiles here. But this city also has a ton of rivers. And it's awesome because actually the Mexican families, they'll spend their days sometimes at the river. How we would think about going to the beach, they would think about going to the river to kind of hang out, splash around. Usually that's in the shallows, but someone that ventures into a little bit deeper waters in a river could come face to face with a crocodile after a while.
What is this that's right in front of us? It looks like almost a sailboat or a sail.
Yeah, that is the pier of Puerto Vallarta, the main pier. There's another one in the Marina, a bit further north of here, but I would say that that's the landmark of La Zona Romantica, which certainly is the busiest place in Puerto Vallarta. So it's also a good landmark to say, hey, meet me at the pier. Let's start our day right there.
And so as far as food goes, you have a lot of different options. Is that correct? What prices, like, what's the price range for that? For some good quality food that's really tasty, do you have to spend an arm and a leg?
No, really you don't. Prices here in Puerto Vallarta are going up, and food prices are included in that. But there are some places that still understand that that's a big part of the appeal of coming to Mexico, is that at when you sit down at dinner or sit down at lunch, that you wouldn't be dropping $30 US to get it done. You could probably spend $10 and have a really full, robust meal that's delicious here. A couple recommendations. I certainly recommend Tacos Cuñado, which is on that street behind us with the pier, only about a block away. And it's a taco stand, but to the maximum. They are very, very busy, and their quesadillas are excellent. I love a steak quesadilla from there, and it's only 40 pesos. That is $2 US for this big honking quesadilla. My other recommendation is a restaurant that's by the most famous church in Puerto Vallarta, which is in El Centro, not too far from where we are here. The church is called Guadalupe, and the restaurant is called El Campanario. There you could get a full meal, multiple courses for 80 pesos, which is $4. And we're talking about, you choose your meat. You could go chicken, steak. I recommend the fish for the steak, but they'll give you a soup to start, a salad. It comes with an agua fresca, and then also a dessert as well. Rice, beans, boom, throw it all in the mix. And I have one more, which is Pancho's Tacos. This is not a secret place. The people that are here, they know about it because they see the line. There is a line every night to get into Pancho's Tacos, and the reason is because the food is great, but they didn't move their prices so much even though the area has been exploding, right? This is one of our entrepreneurs right here, Hector. ¿Cómo estás? Bien, bien.
Hola. Nice to meet you, Hector. What's up, guys? I'm currently in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. It's a nice hot day. I've been out walking around for the past few hours. And I just finished speaking with White Chedda, aka Kirk Sells, the founder of Empower Vallarta and so much more. And I wanted to give you a little bit more context on the video you're about to watch. So I reached out to Kirk through Facebook after watching a YouTube video by a gentleman named Steve, who gave me some really valuable information on where to go and sites to see. But in that video, he incorporated something that I thought was very interesting, and that's White Chedda's mission.
And so, again, I reached out to him on Facebook. He was very accommodating. He met me the first day. I flew in and spent time collaborating on what he's working on and why he's doing it. I found him to be very genuine. And yes, the video you're about to watch talks about Puerto Vallarta, the city, the culture. There's so much more than what we covered, but it gives you a brief summary, and it talks about the mission and his vision. But I want to say thank you to Steve.
Hey, hola amigos. My name is Steve Yallo, and I travel the world and make videos like this to help people like you plan your trips by sharing some tips.
But just, I think it's important for people to know that there's a thing called a ripple effect. And by you putting something out there, you have no idea how that can potentially change the course of history. And due to Steve taking time to record someone and explain somebody's mission, that motivated me to sit down and speak with White Chedda. And that could potentially motivate someone else to sit down and talk to White Chedda. And it could also motivate someone to go replicate or do something similar to White Chedda. So it's a ripple effect. Basically, you put something out there, you might not know the impact you're gonna make, and you might never know the impact that you made. But just remember that an idea, a vision is very powerful. And so it may not affect this generation or the next generations, but the idea you had or the vision you had could be potentially implemented 100 years from now, 200 years from now. And if you're really lucky, it could be implemented while you're alive and you get to see the fruits of that seed you planted. So never be afraid to talk about your dreams, about your vision, to put it out there. And just remember, you might get the credit for it and you might not. But if your intentions are pure, it doesn't matter. So on to the video. I hope you guys like it, learn something from it, ask questions, give feedback on how to improve it. And I'll try to keep making this type of content. Thank you. So you kind of seem like a local celebrity here. Why is that?
It's because I dedicate my time to going out and rapping for the people every day. And that's me walking towel to towel on the beach, just introducing myself to people and asking them if they want to hear a quick rhyme. And I carry a sign with me. That's a big part of it.
Can we see the sign?
Okay, but this is the sign for our philanthropy project. But the sign I carry when I'm rapping is quite similar. They call me White Chedda, like we said, El Rapero Güero. And when you walk around with a big, big business card, every single day, people start to get to know you. And then there's definitely a chatter about the good work that we do here with our philanthropy as well. So it's fun. You're totally right. I am a local celebrity here. I'm proud to say it. And it's great because I'll be walking down the street. Doesn't matter what neighborhood I'm in, someone will shout at me, Rapero! And that means rapper. So imagine if someone was shouting at you for what you did in the street. They could be like, hey lawyer, hey doctor. In this case, it's, hey rapper. And I couldn't be more happy with that.
And so you go around, you rap for people. Is this what you do full time or what do you do full time?
Yeah, as far as making my money goes, that's what I do full time. And then the time, though, dedication for me, a big part of it is to building our philanthropy platform, kirksells.com. And there's a lot of relationship management in that because it's designed to empower local entrepreneurs here by letting people find them online, learn a little bit about them and their business, and then they can dedicate small funds, little micro gifts to them. But because we have this family of people that are all hard workers here, I see them in my daily walk, and so it's really cool to stop and have a chance to get updated on what's going on with them.
So where did this idea come about and when did you start it?
I always wanted to build something that was epic for the people. And I think that when we talk about ending poverty in the world, it's such a big thing, a big idea that I really believe that most people are intimidated to even try and start embracing a solution for poverty because we don't really know how to do it. Well, I don't like that attitude. I'm more on the grounds of, let's go. We at least have to try. And so I thought, okay, how do you do it? And since I have this experience of living in a developing country, I can see all the people that are working really, really hard for very, very little money. And sometimes all those people need is just a little boost from the blessed in order to put them in a different place of prosperity from where they currently run, which is survival mode. I have to hustle every day just to have enough food for that day or to save up for the rent. And so we're just trying to create connections between people that maybe live in a developed nation like the United States and hardworking entrepreneurs in the developing world so that they can share their blessings with the people that are running a little bit more stressed in this world.
So Empower Vallarta, is that the same business model? The websites look similar, I believe. Is that correct?
Actually, they direct to the same website at this current moment. EmpowerVallarta.com will take you to riqueso.com. We just wanted to make sure that there was a name that was able to sort of be more relevant to the English-speaking audience in Puerto Vallarta. But because Riqueso is more of a model for how to end poverty, not the end-all be-all solution, then we want people to take the Riqueso model and localize it to their own personal community. So Vallarta is the first city, so our example of that is Empower Vallarta. But eventually, and I see that probably the initial expansion will come up and down the coast here, so we'll have things like Empower Yalapa, which is a city to the south of here that you can only get to by a water taxi, or Empower Sayulita, which is a smaller little beach town up north in the next state over in Nayarit. And people that come to Vallarta often take a little day trip to Sayulita. So Riqueso is the granddaddy of the whole idea, but we want people to duplicate that idea and bring it to their own local community. And in doing so, they would change the name to make it more relevant to that community.
So you actually encourage people to take, I don't know if you would call it a business model, but your model, and replicate that in their hometown or maybe wherever they're living. Is that correct?
Yeah, definitely. I think that this is an idea where we talk about ending poverty. It's not just like I built a solution and my project is going to be the way that we do that. It takes people that believe in that type of mission. And what we built was, it's the paradigm. It's the way for people to say, oh my gosh, I can see that that's working in Puerto Vallarta. But I don't live in Puerto Vallarta. I live in Buenos Aires. So I want to introduce this to Buenos Aires or wherever in the world. And so for us, it's like open source. Take the Riqueso idea, take the Empower Vallarta idea, and apply it in your own community.
And I think we're going to try to make a video that just explains the model a little bit more in depth so that if you wanted to replicate it, you could. And I'm going to jump out on a limb here, but say that you would be willing to help anyone that wants to replicate that model.
Yeah, definitely. There's an easy component and there's a difficult component. The easy component is building a website exactly like how we did, maybe with your own little adaptations to make it relevant to your community. That part's super simple because you just duplicate the website that I already built, and I'm totally willing to share that with anybody that wants to use it. The difficult side that if somebody does want to take on an initiative like this is you have to have a relationship with everyone involved, both the people that give and empower, and then the entrepreneurs as well. So in managing a team of currently 14 entrepreneurs here in Puerto Vallarta, that's a ton of communication, a ton of FaceTime, lots of questions to answer, lots of updates to give, and all of that. So if someone wants to dive down the path of building something like Riqueso in their community, they have to be a relationship-oriented person and someone that has full swagger, no fear about connecting with people in that community.
So that's a great point, and I would like to add to that let's say maybe you don't have the ability to do that, like you're not a people person but you want to support people, or you're really busy at work but you have some resources, some capital. You could find someone, pay them to do that for you,
Totally,
right?
totally.
So you get those blessings from just supporting financially.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there are some barriers, but there's always solutions to those barriers.
Yeah, definitely.
So tell me a little bit more about the entrepreneurs. I mean, how do they get on your platform? Do you vet them? I mean, can I just come to you and say, I want to be part of Empower Vallarta, or how does that work?
So anybody that really classifies themselves as living, I wouldn't say they would probably directly say, oh, I'm in poverty, but they they express a need, they're welcome to join us. This is a movement that's designed for the masses. And one of the reasons for that is because we're not the ones that are responsible for building the support network around those people. We give them the tools to build their own support network, like business cards that have their personalized link so people can go directly to their page online, learn a little bit about them and their business, and then dedicate funds directly to their PayPal, right? We help them open a bank account and a PayPal. And so the onus is on the entrepreneur to build that team of supporters. We're constantly talking about it, but it'll some point get to be a number of entrepreneurs that is way too much for us to source all of their team members, all of their empowerers. And so they got to do it on their own. And that's the reason that anybody that is an owner of their own business, a local entrepreneur, could have a Riqueso profile.
And maybe you just covered it now, but I want to hit on that point again. So you do vet your entrepreneurs. You make sure that these guys, whether it's a male or female, so there's women and men entrepreneurs, but you make sure that they're actually hard workers. Is that correct? That they have a vision, they're working towards something.
Yes, and in this case specifically, how do I vet them? It's because I'm out here every day working and hustling, and I've seen them out here every day working and hustling. And we kind of talked about this the other day. The maximum amount of support from Riqueso that someone could get is 300 pesos a day. That would be if they had a team of 15 people dedicating $1, which is roughly 20 pesos a day. And so anyway, that amount of money, it's a good boost, but it's not the kind of money that you could just be like, all right, I'm not going to work today, right? So it's
not life-changing.
Right. It's designed to pump into the life of the entrepreneur so that they can, sometimes they start their days with 0 pesos because they spent everything that they made the day before on food for the family the night before, right? A good dinner. And so it's really hard, I know this, to start at 0. And so our project really is designed to help change the psychology of these hardworking people as well. If you started with 300 pesos, then you already can walk with a little bit more swagger for your business and hopefully have a more successful day.
And so I really like that concept. So if you're kind of worried, like you want to support, but you're worried, okay, I'm giving these guys money so they're just going to sit at home. It's not enough money to sit at home.
Right.
And again, he's vetting the entrepreneurs to make sure that they have good work ethic, that they want to grow, and again, they have a vision. So 300 pesos, what is that equivalent to in US dollars?
Basically 15 US dollars, and it kind of fluctuates, right, between like 18 pesos per dollar and 20 pesos per dollar. But that would be if we were using $1 equals 20 pesos, then 15 people on your team would be 15 times 20 pesos, and that's 300 pesos.
300 pesos, cool. So if people wanted to support you, they don't necessarily have to be on a team, is that correct?
Right, so some people have asked me through my time in promoting Riqueso about supporting our mission on a foundational level and not necessarily giving directly to an entrepreneur, which the site and the function of it is designed for you finding an entrepreneur and giving straight to them. But some people are just in love with what we built, and we are glad to say yes towards taking donations for that. When I say we, I'm talking about my wife and I. She's a co-founder with me of Riqueso, helped me build the platform and helps me maintain and manage the relationships with our entrepreneurs. She's a Mexican, so it's awesome because she has even a more special connection with the people that are on our platform than I do, being someone that's not from this country originally. But yeah, people are giving to us to fuel this dream, and we're also looking for angel investors as well who are so all about it that they want to make sure that we have a salary to be able to do this. We're not starting in that place. We're starting shoulder to shoulder, running poor with the people while we build something epic. And in those moments when a little bit more capital is available for us, watch out, because we will use that capital in very powerful ways to continue growing this awesome vision.
Well, I'm sure that's going to bring up some questions for some people. So what do you classify yourself? Are you a nonprofit, for-profit?
This is a Wild Wild West. This is Mexico. So we don't have a 501c3 in the United States. It's not a registered business. It's a rapper and his compassion project trying to rally the fans of both White Chedda and people who truly believe that we can end poverty around something that doesn't have all the red tape. We're capitalizing on that element that this place is not as legal, bureaucratic as the United States is, right? And so what we're trying to do is make sure that we can just call on people's compassion, like I said, rally them together. And then because the connection is really the focus, not the money, since the money that's dedicated through our platform literally is just a gift that you send right to their PayPal. It's not really a charitable organization in that way. It's more of a social media for connecting you with an entrepreneur in the developing world.
So that's a great point that you just touched on. So the money really, it doesn't touch your hands, does it?
No, never.
So it goes directly to the entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And that goes back to what you said earlier, where you're helping the entrepreneurs set up bank accounts, PayPals, if they don't know how to.
Right.
And then that enables them to meet foreigners, tourists who might not have cash on them to make a payment or purchase something from them through PayPal, for example.
Yeah, that's a little side benefit, is that if they're walking the beach and selling tamales and someone really wants it but they don't have any cash on them, previously, before being on our platform or before having a PayPal, then they wouldn't be able to accept any other form of payment. But now we've made it easy. Let's say Esmeralda's walking the beach and she's got the tamales, you want to pay her. It isn't even really her PayPal link that she'd share with you. It's a nice, clean requeso.com/Esmeralda link. And our website, not to get too deep with it, but it's basically, like I said before, a social media that's built around someone's PayPal link. And so the only function on each page after you've learned about that person, their dream, their birthday, what they do for a living, how many kids they have, things like that. The only thing that you can do is press one button. Viva, viva! The only thing that you can do on someone's page is press the empower button, and that empower button directs you right to their PayPal. Right?
Great. So again, the money goes directly to the entrepreneur. So it's not changing a million hands before it gets to the entrepreneur. They're getting 100% of the funds.
Right.
And it's not a huge amount of money, right?
Right.
And I guess that's all relative. If you're struggling, it might be a big amount of money to you. But for a majority of Americans, let's say middle class, it's not a big portion of their income.
Right.
A very minute portion of their income.
Yeah. It's if you were to participate in the system the way that it's truly designed, then you would be dedicating $1 a day. So in May, that's $31. In June, it's 30, right? So those are the types of commitments. February 28th. And basically at that point, you're saying, could I afford $1 a day to be able to make sure that the life of somebody who's really working hard but struggling financially can have a better life in a country like Mexico?
And so again, you don't have to commit to a daily contribution. Is that what, I don't know if I'm using the right word, donation, contribution. But you were saying they're not necessarily just donating, they're micro investors. Is that what you said? Could you clarify that?
Yeah, well, so first of all, one point is that they don't have to join someone's team. They could just make a one-time gift through that person's profile. And that would be if you just wanted to make someone's day. We have people that sometimes send over $100 US to one of our entrepreneurs, and their head probably explodes when they see that, because that's a lot of money down here, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so it kind of lets people meet the platform where they are financially in their lives. I bet in our group, in our family, there are some people that are millionaires, whereas I know there are other people in our group who they give like this, like almost like a biblical character would. It's the shirt off the back. They're participating and giving to the queso, even if they themselves don't totally feel financially comfortable in their life, right? And I really appreciate that, because I think that spirit is the one that drives a movement towards ending poverty forward. Even if you don't have a lot, commit something to people that maybe even still have less than you.
And so is this an annual commitment, a monthly commitment? You know, what if I am able to donate this month and then not the next month? I mean, yeah, what are the commitments?
Well, if you want to be on someone's team formally, then you would give $1 a day. And of course, you make the decision as to how long you'd like to be on that team. We like to make sure that our entrepreneurs are in good communication with you via WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger, so that you literally have a direct connection with the person that you're empowering. These tools did not exist in the 19th century or most of the 20th century or any time in human history before that. So it didn't allow us in that type of world to have the same level of connection that we have with people in different countries, especially countries like these that are suffering from poverty. But now we leverage those tools to make sure that when you're giving, that you can be updated by the person that you're giving to. You can have a relationship with that person. And I think those are the things that solidify, for instance, the people that have been with us practically the whole time. That's what they love so much, is that they have a direct connection with the entrepreneur. And that's what keeps them on the team. They like to hear updates, and they also get little notes of gratitude when they send gifts over to these guys.
And so something that you told me about that I really like is that if I'm on the team of an entrepreneur and I really believe in them, I can talk to them directly and propose a business model or some partnership with them where I can support them and make money at the same time.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
If our mission is empowerment, we don't limit that empowerment to just financial empowerment. Because we're creating a connection, then there are many opportunities for people to find an entrepreneur and then say, hey, you know what? I have an expertise in a specific way to optimize your business. Let me share that with you so that we can try and build more infrastructure for prosperity for you. And that does happen. I'm very proud to say that oftentimes our entrepreneurs and our empowerers get together for coffee. Even if I'm not involved in that, they plan it on their own and they have their own private dialogues about how they can help each other.
Amazing. And so if someone wants to get in touch with you, how can they do that?
Easy peasy. I'm White Chedda on Facebook, just like the cheese but no R. And then also my WhatsApp. Should I give my WhatsApp right here?
It's up to you. I mean,
+52 Mexican country code 753-107-7772. I personally like the White Chedda way more because you can kind of check out what people are saying about our movement on the page and kind of see some fun content over there as well. It's a more robust way to connect.
Show us that sign one more time.
Riqueso.com.
And you can learn more about it there.
And if you're not as Spanish friendly, then empowervallarta.com. And on the bottom of every page on the website is the link to my Facebook White Chedda page, so people can click that and then send off a message to get connected.
And last thing, maybe we already touched on it, but let's touch on it again. You said this is a solution for poverty. Can you explain that?
Yeah, so you got to design something, right? As far as if there's a problem, you're designing what the solution is, right? And so I just haven't seen anything else that's being presented on a global scale as a solution to poverty. But when I really think about how that would all work, I think that it takes empowering an entrepreneur, someone that works really hard in the developing world, so they don't really make a lot, but they definitely have the work ethic. We gotta boost those people up because the entrepreneurs in this world, the dreamers, the innovators, those are the ones that go on and create opportunities for other people, add employees, and that is how you end poverty. You create a cycle of people paying it forward, right? And nobody would pay it forward better than someone that is running their own business and then finds a great prosperity in that business, because they'll share the wealth with employees and then maybe have their own means to give back. That's an interesting point too. A lot of the entrepreneurs on our platform, when we ask them what their dream would be, they would say to be able to give back, to help someone in their community. They haven't always dreamed up or imagined what that would look like, but they have that idea of selflessness embedded in their core, and so they're certainly eager to be able to say, okay, once I get to a place where I'm really comfortable, then I want to find ways to empower other people, right? Salvador, ¿cómo está?
Amazing.
Hola, hola.
So you heard it from the man himself, White Chedda, aka Kirk Sells. Again, you can get in contact with him through Facebook or his WhatsApp number.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed speaking with you, getting to know you. Think you have an amazing mission, and I can't wait to see more of your journey.
And let me say something. Dude, you are awesome. I feel like the level of interest for this shows me the compassion behind your principal philosophy, which is see the world, but don't just fall into line of what the tourist traps are for the places that you're going. Find ways to invest back in the people, because that will ultimately be the most fulfilling experience that you could possibly have. And I just love that even in meeting you at first, you use words that I use on a consistent basis, and the one that really resonates with me the most is empathy. Our movement is certainly rooted in the spirit of empathy, putting others before yourselves. So thank you for being you, and thank you for coming to Puerto Vallarta.
Put very eloquently. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Take care, guys.
Stay cheesy.
Que hagan algo grande, alegría, amor. Remember your ancestors and listen during storms. Some force has shaped you to be here this awesome. Now pretend you both are flowers and go out and blossom.